Here's how to 3D print and build the Moonlantern from Baldur's Gate 3. So the first thing I've done, obviously, is I've gathered all of my pieces. I've already printed everything. I used a bronze PLA from Bamboo Lab, and I used a translucent PETG as well for the window panels. I have all my pieces printed. The only other two things I need is I've got a pair of flush cutters and some super glue. Because there are a few supports to remove, so we'll just go ahead and get started. We'll start from the bottom and work our way to the top. So there's the bottom piece, as well as the lid that holds the LED. It's a puck LED that I found on Amazon, so I just designed this to fit perfectly for it, and then it fits very snug right there. This next piece screws onto the top. It'll be at its tightest point when the edges of that piece you just screwed on line up with the holes on the side of the entire bottom. So coming up is arguably the most difficult part. We have to slide these panels into the rectangular inserts all around the edge. And it kind of starts easy, but then as they're all shoved in there, it gets a little tricky. So the first thing you're going to want to do is identify the front and backs of these pieces, because there are front and back. For the ornamental panels, it's a little easier because one side is completely flat, so that is the side that's going to go on the back. And then like the more decorated side, obviously that's going to stay on the front. For these ones, it's a little trickier. There's a slight angle to the edges, and then you'll kind of notice that they go like in, right? Does that make sense? You're going to want to match that angle to where it goes in. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. To clarify a little bit too, you could definitely see this piece has that taper on the left and right, so it goes in. You can see this one tapering down, and so I'm going to put those on top, and that's how these are oriented. Now if you really want to make sure that your shit is sturdy, you can throw a little bit of super glue down into each of the inserts. But I'm just going to keep going around, figuring out which is the top and the bottom, putting them together all the way around. It's getting kind of tight, you know, just force it in there. And one thing I'll note too is I printed the translucent pieces with a texture plate, which hopefully I think will add kind of just an extra cool, realistic element to the whole thing. Okay, getting the last one in, I think is actually the hardest part, but I did sort of figure out a way, kind of cheating. I'm using the flush cutters. I'm just going to trim the corner of the bottom. Then I'm going to stick in the side that I didn't cut first. Now I'm going to get the glass in. So now we need to assemble the top with these pieces right here so we can actually put the whole thing together. To make sure everything lines up, there's the hex piece that's going to go through the center of all the top pieces. So this piece I'm holding has the hole through the center. That is the center part of the top. So we're going to take this hexy piece. This is going to be the part that actually sits on top of the lantern, and this is going to go on the bottom. So center piece on the bottom. This little roundy piece, it's got the insert. That's going to go on top. Everything has to be aligned for the spines, these pieces here, to line up. So that's why you have to join it with hexy. And this part, I would super glue. Now that we got that little sandwich, I'm going to glue up the little handle holes. Just make sure that they are aligned. Don't worry about getting the handle in because the handle's made out of plastic, so you can bend it pretty easily. For now, let's take the handle off and quickly get this piece right on top. I don't think the orientation matters. I think you can just get it in there. I don't know how long that took me, but there really ain't no easy way to do that. Put the handle in there. And you can see we are on our way for sure. Still have a little bit of work to do. These all print with a little bit of support, which we're just gonna have to get off really quickly before we get these on. Now, what I really want to make sure when I'm taking the supports off of the spines is that the connectors, like the ends, both ends here, are totally clean of any support so that they fit in smooth and easy. All right, home stretch. And this part's pretty easy and also very self-explanatory. I find the bottom one fits very snug, but the top one is a little looser. So I actually put a little super glue on the top. There you go, it's done. And you can see the super glue is pretty good, pretty dry, pretty tight. The fit on the bottom, where that LED is sitting, is tight. And I printed this light enough that it would be definitely good for cosplay. That thing is gonna bend a little bit, so be careful with that. Maybe in the future I'll kind of design it so that it moves up so that doesn't happen. I'm also kind of lazy, so I might not ever do that. And you're getting this for free anyways, so if you're checking this out and want to download and print your own Moonlantern from Baldur's Gate, the files, all the resources are down in the description of this video. Now, a couple things to mention right out the gate. This thing, while it is pretty light, it is also pretty fragile. You can imagine this is very thin plastic, so if you bang this up against something, it might not survive. I wouldn't swing it around too much, but it can definitely take a swing. For me, I definitely designed it as something that I want to display it just like as a prop on my shelf. I like to build props. I like to have like pieces of worlds that I care about and I like. So for me, I'm gonna find a place to hang this actually in my studio. But I want cosplayers to be able to build this and use it. So I would just recommend printing it light. I chose 3 walls and 15% infill. It's plenty strong. Use super glue. I'll have a link in the description for the LED puck lights that I used, so you can find the exact ones that'll fit perfectly in the insert. I just definitely want, at the end of the day, to provide collectors and nerds like myself the ability to bring these items, something like this, into the real world. So if you've made it this far, I'm assuming you're kind of into this stuff too. Again, all the resources for this, files, which again are free, everything is in the description of this video. Like, comment, and I would really also appreciate it if you subscribed. That'll help push my content out to more people, which will help my channel grow, and I really appreciate that. So thanks for sticking around. Hope you build one of these, and I'll see you next time.